All right, so we hear it all the time, right? AI is changing everything. But behind all those big headlines, there's this quiet revolution happening. And it's completely transforming one of our biggest challenges, how we discover new medicines. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and see exactly how AI is rewriting the rulebook for medical discovery.
So let's start with a question that honestly affects every single one of us. Why on earth does it take so long, we're talking more than a decade, and cost billions of dollars just to get one new drug to the people who desperately need it? Well, the answer, it's wrapped up in a process that's just slow, incredibly expensive, and super risky. A process that has been just begging for an upgrade.
And get this, a jaw-dropping 80% of all clinical trials, they run into delays. And these aren't just little hiccups. We're talking incredibly costly setbacks that burn through money and, more importantly, precious time. This isn't some small issue, you guys. It's a massive, systemic crack right at the heart of how we find new cures.
And that brings us to what we're calling the billion-dollar bottleneck. See, the traditional way we test new drugs, the whole clinical trial system, it's become this huge, inefficient roadblock standing between amazing science and treatments that could save lives.
Okay, so let's just break down this chaos for a second. A single late-stage trial can generate something like 3.6 million data points. Think about that. Then you've got over 37% of all research sites that fail to even sign up enough patients. And to top it all off, up to a quarter of the entire budget is just spent on people manually entering and managing all that data. I mean, the numbers are basically stacked against success from the very beginning.
But what if you could just change the rules of the game completely? And that's exactly where this story takes a turn. So, enter AI. And no, not as some kind of magical black box, but as a brand new medical toolkit with really specific tools designed to fix every single one of these problems.
So when we say AI in this context, what are we really talking about? Well, put simply, we're talking about these incredibly sophisticated systems. I mean, systems that can run thousands of virtual trial simulations before a real one even starts. They can sift through millions of patient records to find that one perfect candidate, and they can analyze data in real time to predict if a drug is actually going to work. It's stuff that's just humanly impossible to do at this scale and speed.
And the result? It's created this great divide between the old way and the new way. With AI, suddenly trials can run up to 50% faster. Their chance of success, it can jump by 20, even 30%. You see, this isn't just a small step forward. This is a complete paradigm shift.
Okay, so that all sounds great on paper, right? But here's the billion-dollar question. Does it actually work in the real world? And the answer is a huge, resounding yes. And the proof? Well, that's where this whole revolution gets really, really interesting. All right, let's take one of the biggest hurdles, finding the right patients for a trial. It's truly like trying to find a needle in a global haystack. The AI approach, though, is brilliantly simple. Step 1, it just ingests millions and millions of health records. Step 2, using something called natural language processing, or NLP, it reads and actually understands everything, even a doctor's messy handwritten notes. And then, step 3, it spits out the perfect patient match. And the speed? It's insane. Platforms like Deep6 AI can do this whole process in less than 60 seconds. Seriously.
And look, this isn't just some little niche startup tech we're talking about. We're talking about industry giants like Pfizer. They have gone all in on AI-driven patient recruitment. They're using this exact technology to find people for their most complicated trials, like the ones for cancer research.
And the result for Pfizer? A massive 75% reduction in the time it takes to find those patients. That time saved? That could mean getting a life-saving drug to the public years earlier than before. That's a huge deal.
But it's not just about speed. It's also about access. Take Johnson & Johnson's Brave platform. It uses AI to run what are called decentralized trials, which basically means patients can participate from their own homes. The results are just incredible. Enrollment is 40% faster, and patients are 25% more likely to actually stick with the trial to the end. So it's better science, and it's a way better experience for the patient.
The analytical power of AI goes even deeper, though. You know how in trials, some people get better even if they're just taking a sugar pill? That's the placebo effect, and it makes it really hard to tell if a new drug is actually working. Well, get this. AI systems from companies like Netramark can now predict who these placebo responders are going to be with over 85% accuracy. This lets them design trials that are smaller, faster, and way more likely to give a clear, definitive answer.
So all of this real-world success, it's creating a massive financial shockwave. Because, well, when you figure out how to fix medicine's billion-dollar bottleneck, the economic impact is every bit as revolutionary as the science itself.
But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. Just follow the money. The market for AI in clinical trials is on track to be worth over $9 billion by 2025, and it's expected to more than double from there, hitting nearly $22 billion by 2030. That is just explosive growth, and it shows that investors are betting big on this transformation.
And what's the payoff for that investment? For the drug industry, it's estimated to be around $26 billion in savings every single year. Now, that's money that can be plowed right back into researching cures for even more diseases. It becomes this amazing, virtuous cycle of innovation that's funded by efficiency.
In fact, by the end of 2022, the top 800 AI pharma companies had already pulled in nearly $60 billion in funding. The gold rush is absolutely on, and it's financing a whole new generation of companies that are built from the ground up to develop drugs with AI right at their core.
So, what does this all mean for the future of medicine? Look, we're not just watching a slightly better version of the old system. We are literally witnessing the birth of an entirely new era in how we heal.
And what's just over the horizon is even more mind-blowing. We're talking about things like quantum computers that can simulate how a drug will work at the molecular level. AI that can read and summarize every relevant medical study for a new trial in just minutes. Or using the continuous real-time data from our smartwatches as actual evidence to prove a drug works. It's incredible stuff.
And for anyone out there who might be worried that this is all some kind of wild west of technology, it's not. The big regulatory bodies like the FDA here in the US and the EMA in Europe, they're working right alongside the innovators. They are actively creating new frameworks and guidelines to make sure all of this progress happens safely and ethically. It's all about building trust in these powerful new methods.
So we started with a process that was slow, expensive, and frankly kind of broken. And we've just seen how a whole new toolkit is fixing it, piece by piece, leading us to faster, cheaper, and more successful cures. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty big thought. If AI can fundamentally redesign the way we create medicine, what can't it redesign?